I think it's different, the goalkeepers. I think you have to install as much confidence as possible in your number one. They have to feel slightly invincible.
Yeah. I said I just didn't see how Tottenham get anything out of this game. I think I was totally wrong.
In what position should these experienced heads come in? Because
Into midfield.
Into midfield.
Okay, so where we've spent 200 million on.
Welcome back to Monday Vibes, one and all. Zach Jalab, Henry Hill in the building this morning to discuss the weekend's big games. Man United have won, so I'm here too. You know, because that is how it works. That is how it works. We don't at all book holiday off in advance here. Anyway, boys, good weekend?
Yeah, good weekend. So I was just looking at your hat, and I think you've got cat fur all over it. Is that Spooks?
But I mean, look, yeah, obviously.
What a lovely cat. What a lovely cat.
The trim's a mess, though, isn't it? So, do you know what, though? Let's just take that off.
There we go.
This guy. So much confidence.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thanks,
what
man.
a guy.
How was your weekend?
Yeah, fine. I haven't been on the show in about 3 months, so it's.
You were in Naples?
I was in Yes, I was just in Naples. I got an Osimhen and a Kvaratskhelia shirt.
Did you?
Me and Mikey have got. Both got this year's home
shirt.
Was
it expensive?
It was €80 each. But I went. This is like Naples. Went into the football shirt shop, which is really small. They had like Fiorentina Atalanta on. I ended up having like a beer in there with the owner, just talking about football.
Of the Naples.
In like the small
mega store.
No, it's not a mega store.
Oh,
it was just like a little street one. But he was just a huge
Did you
football
buy
fan.
a fake shirt then?
No, it's real. But it was at like some, I don't know where they got it from.
Sick.
It was.
I love the little bromance you and Mikey have got. Why do you not get one?
Well, I asked him and he didn't want one.
Sorry, I thought you bought it for Mikey.
I offered to buy one. I was going to get one for Doogie as well.
Doogie said it's too real for me. Can you pick me up a fake one? Can you pick me up a fake version?
But yeah, no, we got them. They're pretty nice this year.
Oh,
they're pretty nice this year.
Very sweet.
So yeah, all good fun. It was a beautiful city. But yeah, good to be back with you two.
Good.
I'm glad you're back.
Okay, we are going to discuss Chelsea. You were at the game yesterday, weren't you? Played golf on Saturday.
We did. We played golf at Surrey National. Tough course.
Yeah,
really
didn't
tough
play
course.
our best golf.
Maybe we'll do a We Need to Talk one day of following me and you around the golf course. It'll be a long video.
Yeah, it'll be a very long video. Anyway, we are here to discuss the football, and we're going to start by talking about the North London derby. Of course we are. What an extraordinary game. This is the best Premier League fixture nowadays, isn't it? The North London derby every single season.
It's not. Tottenham. Chelsea at home to Tottenham is the best. It's the best.
It's not.
And then it's
a
not.
little bit more like tough tackles going in and stuff like that, I guess. Slightly. I think both of them are really, really good. What I would like to say, firstly, not happy that this game was on with 3 other games going on at the same time. I missed
the scheduling was a bit of a mess this weekend.
I was really annoyed about that. Really, really annoyed about that. So I didn't manage to watch the full thing for the whole 90 minutes, but I saw the extended highlights. But yeah, hell of a game by the looks of it. Hell of a game. And shout out to Tottenham Hotspur.
It was. Yeah, I think shout out to Ange Postecoglou. I think I owe an apology. I think on Sunday Vibes, on James Alcott's North London derby preview, I said I just didn't see how Tottenham get anything out of this game. I think I was totally wrong. Tottenham were fantastic. I think the fact that there were 7 players making their North London debut really helped them. There was no sort of past trauma hanging on to this Tottenham team whatsoever. They went there very, very confident. Actually dominated the ball. I think 54% possession. And I know that Arsenal had their chances for sure, but Tottenham deserved something from the game and they got it.
Yeah, I think the key was every time they went behind, they immediately got back in Arsenal's face and got those, like, obviously it's a huge mistake for the second goal. Yeah. And you know, if Arsenal settle into a routine there at home, then I think we're looking at a different result. But the fact they were able to capitalise and get back in the game straight away is testament to sort of this new Spurs mentality, which, you know, I was talking about that last week in regards to them coming back against Sheffield United. Yeah, they look brilliant. I was watching it with a Spurs fan and he said, if you have Sanchez or Dyer playing at centre half, you lose that game. But the fact they've got like Van der Ven in there, the fact they've got like a bit more of
Why so in terms of losing? Just because they are better players?
Because they were just buckled. Some of the football Spurs were playing at the back was risky.
Yeah,
but it was just
great,
about working.
It was that chance.
I was watching it like.
Well, there's a chance Jesus has, isn't it, where Madison obviously collects it there and then gets kind of bodied off and Jesus blazes it over the bar.
We'll talk about him in Arsenal in a bit though, but just to stick focusing on Spurs because, you know, Ange now already more points away from home in North London derbies than Mourinho, Conte and Nuno combined. Wow. And it is the brand of football, isn't it, man? That willingness, the braveness on the ball to pass out from the back. He's so good to watch.
I think you mentioned it there with not having the past and kind of having the Mourinhos and Contes that had affected them. Like, Ange has just put so much personality into them. Like, I was very fortunate enough to speak to him last Friday. and he is just a really positive personality. Someone who kind of, as a player, like just as interviewing him, kind of gave you that feeling as a player. I thought it feels almost as if like he just wants, and obviously every single manager will say this, but wants to get the best out of you, and is bringing you in the team for a reason. Like, not many clubs in the transfer window would have gone out and picked up Mickey van der Ven. And he's brought him straight into this defence and been fantastic, and obviously has settled really, really quickly. Vicario, I remember when he first came into the club, I said it might have been on the Sunday Vibes or on Monday Vibes. I wasn't so sure about this transfer, especially when they had Raya, who we'll get onto in a bit. It was also fantastic. But Vicario's been fantastic. He's been really, really good. The saves, he made some really important saves. There were several players in that North London derby who were just fantastic. He was one of them. I thought Maddison was brilliant, even though he had that one error, that one mistake, which luckily didn't lead to a goal. Son, fantastic.
I thought him Destiny a dodgy, man. Like, given that
first half an hour,
exactly, with the booking on Saka, and then, you know, it was just poor communication, really, wasn't it, between him and, was it Brennan Johnson tracking the man for the Bukayo Saka? You just can't let Saka have 5-10 yards of room.
He's also unlucky, though, in terms of, like, the deflection is a really bad deflection.
But it's criminal defending to allow Saka to come in on the left.
You can see that every player in that Spurs side has been given license to be creative and to be themselves. Like, as you said, a dodgy flying forward, Porro getting forward, Papa Matasar, unbelievable. Him and Basuma, the boldness, some of the things they were doing in the middle, just like break out and knock the ball around. Maddison, as you say, like when he went off, that's when I think, although Tottenham maybe could have had a chance at the end, but you could tell like when Maddison went off, the emphasis going forward really did decline, and like Højbjerg going on was never going to replicate that at all. That's the only thing, is that they're probably like one or two bodies away from having enough options off the bench to really make a difference. I didn't think Solomon was particularly special coming on this game either, but like you can see the flair that has been installed into each of the players in the Spurs side, and it is really great to watch. Like, this is the most I've wanted Spurs to win a game in a long time. It was weird. It felt weird. So.
I know, and when Maddison's knee hyperextended, the whole pub that I was in was like, ooh. And you know that this is effectively the issue for Tottenham, isn't it? As we've spoken about on numerous other shows, that if Maddison or Basuma, you know, or one of these sort of individual key cogs does pick up a bad injury, if Maddison, thank God he didn't seriously injure his knee there, but if he had, immediately you think, well, that's probably right, you know.
However, it's tough. Like, they got Maddison for an incredible deal in the end, and to go and get someone of his standard out there is going to cost you probably double what they paid to get him anyway. I think come January, that's what they might need to look at, is just having a little bit more cover for those certain positions. Somebody for Basuma, if he, and also you just don't want to overplay them. They've gone Basuma and Sarr, and has gone from
you don't have to worry about that. They've only played about another maximum of 34 games.
It's true with the FA Cup.
What would have topped this off, other than the winner, would have been Brennan Johnson getting on the score sheet, and it is like testament to David Raya in goal for that save.
It's an amazing save
to pull that off. Like, if he connects with it, if he doesn't kick it into the ground, then maybe we're looking at a goal. But even so, like the strength of that hand to.
For Spurs in general, though, like I think we said it on Sunday Vibes on James Alcott's channel that this is the test now. This shows what level they're at for this season. Obviously, they had the poor result in the Carabao Cup, and that kind of showed what we just said about the rotated side
Fulham,
and the level it drops.
So,
for sure. But I think this now proves that this Spurs side are here to play, and as long as they've got Maddison, as long as they've got Basuma, and a few other players kind of fit and firing, top four is a real possibility, a huge possibility.
Top 5 now this season, isn't it?
Well, it depends post-January, but yes, there's a chance. Obviously, top 5 can happen. But top 4 looks like a really good chance, really good chance. And Son as a striker, it's perfect. Some really tidy finishes from Son.
Yeah, and can we just quickly talk about James Maddison's post-match interview on the Tottenham Hotspur channel? Absolutely magnificent, talking about Bukayo Saka and saying that he might have done my celebration. He must have still been doing my celebration when I spun him for the first goal. That is awesome, man. I love Maddison.
It's nice to see that, I think, as well. Like, I don't think Saka would have been seen that on Twitter and been like, oh my god.
Oh no, he'd have laughed. He'd have loved it. He'd have loved it.
It's nice banter to have between international
Saka.
teammates.
He did the Rashford. He started to replicate rivals.
I think it's really nice. I think it's good to have.
I really like to see it. Spurs, awesome. I thought Arsenal were okay as well. You know, certainly for like the first half an hour, I thought they were cooking. Tottenham was struggling for half an hour. If like you say, Gabriel Jesus scores that chance and he goes to 2-0, I think it would have been a very, very long afternoon for Tottenham. But as it was, they're kind of, I don't know, in forward areas. like in that number 9 role, it was a lot being made of it in commentary, wasn't there? Talking about whether or not Gabriel Jesus and Eddie Nketiah are the right number 9 for Arsenal, whether or not they're breaking their neck enough to get in front of goal. There was a particular example when Eddie Nketiah didn't kind of bust the nuts getting at the back post.
Yeah.
But
they're just never going to be happy though, because I feel like if they went and got a striker, if they went and got a striker that's doing that, that striker would probably not have quite bring the assets that Jesus and Nketiah to the side. And then they start complaining about this. Like, I've seen a lot of people be like, we don't have an Erling Haaland. Like, nobody has an Erling Haaland, essentially, apart from Man City. There's only one in the world. Yes, you can go, and I've seen some people talk about maybe they go and try and get Ferguson next summer, and maybe that is an idea to try and get more of a clinical finisher that is very much kind of around the box. But to be fair, Ferguson's a little bit more than that. Anyway, I think I think they sometimes look at their strikers and I think they don't know what they've got. They've got a fantastic player in Gabriel Jesus. They've got a fantastic player in Nketiah. And okay, they didn't go to the back post and slide or have that header at the last chance, whatever it might have been. But they also bring assets, so many other assets to their game. Like Gabriel Jesus, that chance that he got from the body with Maddison might not have happened if he wasn't playing.
Exactly. Gabriel Jesus is one of the best strikers in the league. I know that he doesn't score at the rate of other strikers, but his back-to-goal play is magnificent. The way he brings other players in, the way he presses, he's such a fantastic footballer, Gabriel Jesus.
They were just up against a good team. Yeah. And, like, bottom line is, as I said, like, it was a huge mistake to give away the second goal for Tottenham. If that doesn't happen, then they're probably going to... Then Spurs are going to have to commit more men forward. They're going to create more chances, and then you look potentially Nketiah gets that goal.
That doesn't happen though, does it? If Declan Rice doesn't come off injured, and there is a little miniature, not crisis developing at Arsenal, but a little miniature problem happening with the Declan Rice injury, Trossard, Martinelli, Jurriën Timber. Like, there's just a little change up from how it was last season, where they barely had to change that 11 once on paper.
Exactly. This happens, like, as a professional team playing in multiple competitions, you've got to be prepared for this. And I actually think we've sat here many times and said Arsenal's got one of the deepest squads in the league, and they are prepared for this. That's why they've got Jorginho. It's a bit of a weird one with Jorginho, because, like, in that moment, he controls it perfectly and then makes the error for himself. And obviously Spurs do really, really well to press him and win the ball back. But I think that's very much kind of one of the way you just sort of, that's a human error, that's a mistake, that wasn't due to the system or whatever it would have been.
I think their saving grace is their Champions League group is technically so easy.
Yeah, it's a Conference League group.
Yeah, well,
it is.
They should be able to get through that, and playing people like Smith Rowe, giving him minutes and stuff like that. They should be able to navigate that. You know, bring Ramsdale back in, for example.
What do we think about that? Raya just undisputed what number 1 now?
It was always going to happen. Yeah. There was no way that he agreed to go to Arsenal without the presumption that he was going to be first choice at some point. They were just waiting for a moment to give it. And I feel sorry for Ramsdale because he's a great keeper. I feel, unlike some of the unemployed goalkeepers out there right now, I'm fully confident that Ramsdale could get another club if he chooses to leave and would go on to be a great keeper continually. David Raya,
if he does leave.
I think he should leave. He should be sitting on the bench.
I think Ramsdale has a lot of confidence in his ability, and he might back himself to try.
His dad was on Twitter, wasn't he, yesterday?
Yeah, and definitely. Like, I saw Carragher obviously mentioning about the clapping. I can understand what Carragher's saying. I also think it's just kind of Ramsdale being like, it's very much a goalkeepers union thing, right?
It was a good save.
You want your your team to win and do well, and it is it's an incredible save. It really is. Yeah. I just think I think Arteta's in a position where when one of the keepers messes up a few times, he goes, okay, I'm going to swap you out and have the confidence in both keepers. We saw that happen with Ramsdale. We'll probably see Raya now play for a few, until he makes a couple of mistakes.
Is that damaging for a keeper, though? That if you know that if I make a mistake, I'm going to get dropped?
But then is it also not, well, I better not make a mistake and be on the top of my game at all times?
I just think it's different with the goalkeepers.
There's two different
ways. I think it's different with the goalkeepers. I think you have to install as much confidence as possible in your number one. They have to feel slightly invincible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it works in the same way. You can't be threatening. You can't be threatening to sub your keeper off after 60 minutes if you feel like. I mean, that's complete nonsense anyway. But yeah, I think it's difficult. It's not going to work.
A couple of other players to mention, I think, in here. Martin Odegaard. I think rare case of Martin Odegaard struggling to get into the game here. I think at 50-minute mark he'd only completed 5 passes.
He was up against 2 really physical central midfielders.
And I think you've got to take your hat off to Bissouma for that. We talked about how amazing Bissouma has been this season, and I think yesterday a rare case of a defensive midfielder getting the better of Martin Odegaard.
Even like Madison Vieira's battle, constant the whole game, like really going at each other. Like, it was a physical battle, and I don't think that's negative to Odegaard. I think it was just he came up against a midfield 3 of Spurs that were ready to really go at them.
Yeah.
Can we also opinion on the handball?
It was a handball.
I think it was a handball, but the lack of consistency is just incredible.
Yeah.
Like in the exact same season, against the exact same player, Manchester United didn't get. I'm not like, I don't want to just be crying here because Man United, but Man United didn't get the same handball decision against Christian Romero away at Spurs. Like, what's the difference between the Romero one yesterday and the Romero one against United? I just don't get the consistency.
I feel like I've been saying this for years. I think everyone's been saying it, right? It's just the consistency.
And we're going to talk about some of that today because there's some disastrous decisions this weekend by Premier League referees. Honestly, like, the Wolves, we're going to come on to that in a bit, but overall, we thought the North London derby was fantastic. The game result, that was played yesterday at 4 p.m. that was much derided as, why is this one on television when, you know, all these other games aren't, actually ended up being maybe game of the day. Newcastle.
Not game of the day, but yeah.
Wow.
North London derby?
I don't know, an 8-0.
Yeah, but I feel
different
like
scorers.
Yeah, but by that point you go.
Let's just touch on that. 8 different scorers is crazy. I've not
crazy.
seen it. There's a really good tweet out there of someone like uploading the Newcastle team sheet, going, "This is an absolute nightmare."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And then,
nobody's going to score goals in this team.
Yeah, they've gone and got 8.
Newcastle fans and who scores goals in this 11?
Yeah, I mean they were like resting all of their strikers at the start, and they've gone out and.
Well, he said, didn't he, during the week, Eddie, how basically the 11 that's starting against Milan hadn't been able to train because they found it really so exhausting, and then. I mean, fortunately, they were playing that Sheffield United side on Sunday, who
look bad, man.
You say that like, against Spurs, they were fine a few weeks ago. To go from like losing against Spurs an extra time,
them. They just couldn't get the ball in the net. Like in this game, everything went in the net. Against Spurs, nothing went in the net.
Luton, Sheffield United could be on for a record-breaking season.
Well, we are seeing a problem here, though, aren't we? For the promoted side, so far 16 games played for the promoted teams in the Premier League this season. None of them have won yet.
I accept that. I would also say that compared to the season before, when the promoted sides like Fulham did a lot better and Nottingham Forest, I don't think Sheffield United and Luton were really in a position to go up.
True.
Sheffield United had been under heavy transfer embargoes. Luton's story is well documented. I think it was more testament to their unity as a squad in that championship that they got up. They're not actually championship ready. Like next year,
Premier League ready, man.
Sorry, yeah, exactly. Sorry. Next year, if you see. Yeah. If you took the table as it is now in the Championship, I know Plymouth are top, but like if Leeds or Leicester,
Plymouth are top.
Yeah. Well, if like Leeds or Leicester come up against, then you say, well, look, these are teams that could transition back into it. I don't think these teams were necessarily ready, and it is going to be really hard. But yeah, the problem with this game in particular is we're seeing Newcastle score from set pieces and like crosses and stuff like that.
Fantastic,
and like this is where, if you're a promoted side coming up, you've got to be solid at the set pieces. That you've got to give yourself as much of a possibility to like stay in games as possible. And set pieces are really like they should be able to defend man to man in those situations. And Dan Burn being able to like wrestle his way to the back post and score a header, it's just like frankly embarrassing for Sheffield United's perspective in that game. But yeah, it was even like switching off from the Gordon, the opening goal to cross back to Longstaff, who by the way, Longstaff is playing so well this year, and I love to see it.
Keeping Tonali out the team.
Keeping Tonali out the side, absolutely. And it's great to see him like step up with the rise of the club too. But yeah, it's Sheffield United, to give themselves any hope, have to iron out the basic errors, and they were brutally exposed against Newcastle. Although I will say, some serious finishing across the goals.
Is that the end of Heckingbottom?
I mean, sure.
If you're a Sheffield United fan right now, you'd be you'd be asking for some sort of change, surely.
Yeah, but is Chris Wilder the answer to that?
No, that is very true.
Given he took 14 points from his final 28 games in 2021, then he went to Borough, obviously started well, didn't he? But finished at 2022, 2023 when he won in 11, and he went to Watford and got sacked as well.
You got to look better. But you got to remember last year, right? The managers that came in. Remember what Aston Villa were? Aston Villa was shocking. A very different side. Very different side. Well, Lopetegui obviously came into Wolves. Unai Emery came into Aston Villa. There was another one that is escaping my mind. But there was like so many lower level managerial changes that happened really early on in the season, and it transformed their club. Obviously, you've got to make the right decision. Is Chris Wilder the right decision? I mean, that's up for debate. Probably not. He just has a decent history there, obviously, when he was first there. Instead, have to do a little bit more looking out and trying to see who's available for sure. But I think a decision has to be made soon. You can't just keep. If you're going to sack him in 3 games' time, why not just sack him now?
You don't give him to the international break? next international
Do
break.
you see much changing?
Another month.
Do you see much changing? I don't.
But I also look at the squad, and I think, like Henry said, this squad, when it got promoted, was not ready for the Premier League. They've lost Ilian Ndiaye and they've lost Sander Berge, the best two players in the Championship for them. They've come up to the league. They haven't replaced them. The players that have replaced them, i.e. Cameron Archer, extremely highly rated, but very raw, no Premier League experience, extremely young. Like, I understand that Paul Heckingbottom is taking a battering this season, and they're getting torn apart by everybody, but I just don't know what else you can do with this squad. I'll be surprised if another manager comes in and immediately starts playing games.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough.
There's losing, and then there's losing 8-0 at home, and that's the difference, really. Like, I think you've got to have some dignity and respect. And if Heckingbottom can't get his team so organised to stop an absolute hammering, then there has to be a change. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Quick touch on Anthony Gordon as well from me. I think is absolutely cooking this season. 2 goals, 2 assists, of course, so far. Just playing out of his skin, man. Just all over, pressing constantly. There was examples in the 93rd minute yesterday. He was just sprinting after goalkeepers, sprinting up. They're 8-0 up. Yeah. So good on the ball. A lot
of people questioned his signing when he first came in.
Yeah, we did. A lot of people at 45 million. I think we were all like, what on earth's gone on here? Clearly, the Newcastle scouts and Dan Ashworth.
He's been ready for a little while, hasn't he? There's been a few clubs after him.
Was amazing at the 21 Euros in the summer as well, picking up player of the tournament there. Yeah. The fact that Harvey Barnes, especially after his injury yesterday, just doesn't look like he's going to be able to get into the team over Anthony Gordon. I think you've got to take your hat off to a player that has proved everybody wrong since going to Newcastle and immediately looks like one of their best players. So Anthony Gordon, well done. Let's go to Chelsea, shall we? Because
bad time to pick up the bottle, isn't it?
Bad time to pick up the bottle. I've knocked the iPad all over the place. It's a bit of a mess. You were there.
Yeah. I feel like I put it into our group chat, didn't I? I've seen that game a million times. Chelsea have chances to score, don't score. Something goes against them. This case being the red cards, and then not necessarily a collapse, but just like they give away a chance, and Aston Villa counter you and have a chance and take it. A little bit unlucky, I think, actually, because Levi Cole does the right thing in defending. Just that he doesn't go out for a corner, or Watkins is able to follow onto his block.
Sanchez
should do a little bit better, but again, he kind of sets himself the first shot. Then there's the block. Then he's a little bit kind of
it's tough. It's tough. I don't think.
I do, and I actually thought he was really, really good. Like, he made some fantastic
save
saves.
of Dean is amazing, and Zaniolo.
Yeah, Zaniolo, by the way, another player I probably got to put my hand up for. I did not like that move at all. More so for his injury issues rather than his ability. Especially, I remember him being linked to Spurs and not liking it last year.
Zaniolo does this though,
and he was really good. He was really good in the midfield against Chelsea.
He is. What did you used to call Jose Perez?
Purple patch.
Purple patch Perez. Yeah, I don't know what the equivalent
Purple
is.
Zone Zaniolo.
Purple Zone Zaniolo. Yeah, he does when he's good, but he can be seriously frustrating.
I think the worry for these games, for now, look, Aston Villa are a good side. Aston Villa are a side that I think a lot of people have said, for a little while now, that under Unai Emery, they are going to be challenging for those European places at the moment. And Chelsea just don't look like anything. Yeah. There's no patterns of play at the moment really happening. I'm still not too sure what's happening at left back in terms of Levi Cole playing there, because Ben Chilwell's on the bench. You feel like that should be a position for him. I actually thought Mudryk had a good half an hour. He made a really good chance, unbelievable chance for Jackson, but then kind of dropped off.
Do you think it was the right decision to take
him off? The ball? Who did he come on for in the end? I'm trying to think now.
Well, Gusto.
It was the red card. The red card this is what I mean. It's just. It felt like something was going to happen with him in that game, with the way he was playing, and then obviously Gusto gets sent off. And I think it's an orange card. Personally, I don't know. Have you seen the highlights?
Yeah, I agree. It's like a modern day red is how I describe it. Once upon a time, that was not a red card, and I wouldn't mind seeing that as a yellow. I agree.
Yeah. But there are wider issues, aren't they? I understand, obviously, Gusto red is a disaster effectively for Chelsea, because obviously Reece James is injured as well. He's now got a 3-game ban. That just doesn't. Everything that could go wrong for Poch really is going wrong at the moment. But the wider context for Chelsea, in 2023, they're third bottom of the Premier League table. They've won 5 games this calendar year. The most losses in a calendar year in the club's history.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
and they just can't score goals. That's the big
and
issue.
This is the thing.
13
Everything
games
can
you
change.
failed to
Like
score
Enzo,
in.
for instance, in this game was not so good, and that's because recently he's been playing further forward. He's been playing in one of these kind of attacking roles, these 10 roles, and he can do it. He can, but like, I just feel like you're seeing our play really diminish without him a little bit deeper and having more space in front of him to pick out his passes a little bit better. Like originally when Caicedo came in, we were all like, oh, it's going to be Caicedo and Enzo, and I don't know if we've actually seen that yet properly. Because it's more so Gallagher and Caicedo with Enzo in front of them. And if anything, it could kind of swap. I think Poch really likes Gallagher's just like tenacity and grit to go and win back the ball and keep play ticking over. But look, I think once Nkunku comes back, there's a big play in that. But right now, look, Chelsea aren't good. There's not a lot happening in terms of in front of goal. Like Jackson had a good chance there. Martinez saves. Sterling should have probably passed the ball.
The yellow for Jackson's so dumb. How's he got 5 yellows in 6 games, by the way?
He is, The other 4, I think, are dumb the way he's got them. The one he got against Aston Villa was a bit harsh. Martinez just have been a...
It's not a travesty. It's not a travesty for Chelsea. Like you're not playing terrible football.
But they've had the easiest fixture schedule in the league by a mile.
It's happened now. This has been a year long. Like there are people at the bridge that are already getting fed up, and I feel like it's less so on Poch really, and more so just due to what's happened over the past year or so.
But the unfortunate thing for Poch is, isn't it, when things start to go wrong and discontent starts to grow, like the manager does just cop it. Like I was watching a few Chelsea fan cams after the game, and obviously I understand that, but you've been booed off 3 games in a row.
Barely. I tell you, I don't remember being booze on Saturday. I really don't. But maybe a Sunday. But maybe I was
away at Bournemouth. The fans were abusing the players that were coming over to them.
The transfer policy of not signing anyone over 25 has to go. Like you have to get some experience in there.
If that was true, I don't know if that was true.
Wait, the squad has been gutted.
Got to sign some old players though.
The squad's been gutted.
January have to sign some experience.
Mate, we spent over £1 billion. Spending can't be the solution every single time here.
I know, but you have to get some.
Figure it out.
I don't know if it's like a loan or whatever. You have to get some experience heads through the door.
But where? Who should play where then? In what position should these experienced heads come in? Because
into midfield.
Into midfield.
Okay, so we've spent 200 million on.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
Where Conor Gallagher's playing.
I think that shouldn't be Conor Gallagher in general, right? Like
I agree. Overall, the squad has been like the squad building has just been disastrous.
The squad building is let's buy, as we always mentioned, let's try and buy some possible wonder kids and see who figures it out.
I know, but you've got now. Like, have you seen the October schedule for Chelsea? Like, Arsenal, Brentford, Tottenham, City, Newcastle, Brighton, United.
What I will say is Chelsea and maybe it's a little bit different now because last year the squad was very, very different. But Chelsea in games where they are against kind of better opposition have tended to look a little bit better.
Mate, you haven't beaten a top 12 team since January 2022.
I have to say,
but we also years ago.
But we'll go back to those games last year, and I think the one against Manchester United, where there's a last-minute Casemiro.
Yeah, but United should have won that game. We played so well.
Are you joking?
I know.
In the first half,
United were great.
In the first half, you were okay. You were definitely better. We made a change, and we should have won.
I just don't see where like the goals and the wins are coming from for Chelsea.
Zach, I have to say, like considering all the money,
I could understand that.
Considering all the money spent, and I know you got Nkunku, but that was done way before. It is intriguing that you were willing to spend 110 million on a central midfielder, but you weren't willing to go like for a big budget forward in that. How did
Romelu Lukaku work out? Well, this is the thing. Like we've been like the transfers over the last 2 years haven't worked right now because a lot of them they've done them with the mind of 5 years, right? And I think people, and really, if you look at that striker market, the ones that would have been over 100 million is Osman.
Yeah,
and Osman
was a dead striker market. United had to pay 65.
Lukaku scored again this weekend for Roma. Just 2 more quick quickly. Really good to see Watkins get on the score sheet. I think he's deserved that in the Premier League for all his work rate this season. The fact he wasn't picked for England, I think, is a bit bizarre. So good to see him getting off. And actually, an image for me that really summed up Chelsea's weird demise is I was watching the Atletico Madrid Real Madrid game at the end, and they had that lovely 4K camera on Azpilicueta in the 90th minute taking a throw in, and the whole Wander's just absolutely bouncing, going absolutely mental because they're about to beat Real Madrid, and Azpi was just loving life, throwing tackles in. I was thinking, wow, what an upgrade.
There is a bit of that connection that has been lost, I suppose, with the fans, isn't it? With some of the sales, quite a lot of homegrown favourites of the fans and things.
For sure.
People, obviously, Mount's been derided since he's gone to United, but he was loved by match-going Chelsea fans.
Well, there's been a bit. I think there is a big disconnect actually between the fans and the players right now, mainly because Reece James, who maybe the other guy who the fans love, is not there playing. The best player probably for Chelsea this season, Sterling, had a really poor game against Villa. There wasn't that connection. There wasn't too many chances created. And the other thing as well is there's no what I'd love to see him do. What I'd love to see is Poch to go, just to try and interact with the crowd a little bit more, try and roar them up, because at times the bridge is so quiet and it can it could really do with having. And the only time it started getting a bit louder was when they were getting annoyed at the referee for not booking Martinez for taking too long at a kick.
He should watch Diego Simeone. He was really going for it.
That's what I mean. But sometimes that's what's needed, right? I think personally that teams can play off the crowd so much more than they actually do.
Yeah.
And obviously singing for 90 minutes is really tough, but that could be a bit that could help a little bit. But right now, I don't really know what more to say about
there
Chelsea.
Isn't much else to say, is there?
As I said, I put that text.
A bit numb to it almost, aren't we?
Yeah, as you said, we've won how many games in 2023?
Five wins in 2023 in the Premier League.
And how many of them were against teams that were
I think they were against Luton and teams like that.
Everyone's just expecting it to click at some point, and the longer it goes on, the more I'm
could be another one where
it's the fragile confidence as well. For young players, it is hard once things start going against you, and you're not got much confidence. It's really hard to get back on track.
When that red card happened, you kind of looked around that Chelsea squad and you were just like, God, they just. I think why is this happening again?
You have to go. You have to go all in on a cup competition. There is no way in hell you're getting into Europe.
Brighton on Wednesday.
There's no way you're getting into Europe without a cup competition.
Do you think they beat Brighton on Wednesday?
No.
Okay, let's keep moving on because I don't want to just keep jabbing the pain stick into Jalab. Everton 3-1 Brentford. What a result and what a performance by Everton here, by the way. Fully deserved of beating Brentford with a much better team on the day. I was watching this game thinking, Everton should have been 3-0 up at half time. Some of the finishing was all over the place, but they were so dominant. And you have to say, hats off to Sean Dyche. He must have been watching Thomas Frank on Monday Night Football because tactically, just decimated him.
Yeah, he did. He made it really tough. I thought Dominic Calvert-Lewin was really good
when he came on
as well. When he came on, it was nice, which was really nice to see. Decore just kept making the same run of
he's good,
every single time. I've loved Decore since he's at Watford. I really have. I remember him doing me worldies in draft for us when he's there too. But he just kept doing the same thing of going in behind and bringing the ball down. An unbelievable finish, a really fantastic finish. And then he did it again just a little bit later. They just. In that game, it almost seemed like Sean Dyche had managed to get his set pieces and kind of the long balls down to a T. It was really, really working. And Brentford just couldn't seem to deal with it. They really couldn't. And I don't know, maybe whether Rico Emery's injury, him being out for the season, played a little bit of a part.
Did what's going on with Brentford
as well?
Not themselves.
I said in Team Talk.
I said.
No, I hate that. Someone messaged me the other day and called me a hindsight merchant. And I thought that was brilliant.
Oh, everyone says that. Yeah.
But yeah, it was they've burnt so strongly. They haven't won a game since the opening game of the weekend. I'm not suggesting that that's necessarily a huge negative. They've got 3 draws in that period.
Is that a home game?
A game.
No, one win this season.
Brentford. One win this season.
Wasn't it opening game against Spurs?
No, that was the second game, I think.
Oh, they beat. Oh no, they've beaten Fulham. They beat Fulham away.
Yeah.
Sad times. But yeah, in fairness to Everton as well, people like James Garner stepping up.
That was his best game in Everton shirt. He was magnificent.
Best game in the Premier League. Hands down. 1 assist, 4 key passes, 3 tackles, 2. He's throwing his body about in the middle, and he's looked really limp since he's gone there, hasn't he? He's almost been non-existent.
He's had injuries as well.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And actually, Jared Brantford as well, really exciting prospect at centre half. Clearly has benefited from that loan at PSV last season, has come back in, and with Connor Cody going, there's a clear space in that squad next to Tarkowski, who, again, had a really good game. I really like James Tarkowski. I think he's a very solid defender. That back two alone should be enough. They have enough quality, Everton.
Fantastic goalkeeper.
Great goalkeeper. Onana in midfield as well.
It's been coming a bit, that result as well. Everton have been underperforming.
And Beto had a really good chance too, actually. That he puts past the post.
They had so many chances in this game, Everton. They were just much better than Brentford. Like Brentford missed. Like they need Tony back. Like they've got to get Tony back. And, like I know at the start of the season we were all like, I'm Burmo, fantastic player. Wissa, so intelligent, and they are good players.
Centre forwards,
but they're just so much better off a player. And like they were so much better last year with the direct nature of the play. Could use Tony's chesting ability and flick on ability to bring in Burmo and Vista into the game. Obviously, Kevin Schade picking up the injury in the warm up didn't help them, but they still miss. They miss. Like they just miss. He's one of the best strikers in the league, and you are going to miss him. But yeah, I'm been that impressed by Brentford this season so far.
Yeah, just yet. I mean, for Everton fans as well, like they'll absolutely needed that. They need that because and Sean Dyche needed that as well. If they had a loss to Brentford, obviously it was away, and obviously Brentford are still considered as a very good team. But if they had got a loss against Brentford, I think Sean Dyche's time as manager would have been a little bit questionable. He's bought himself a little bit more time. Let's see what happens in their next couple of fixtures. I don't know who they're playing.
Everton. It would
weekend,
be a cataclysmic decision if Everton sacked Sean Dyche.
Mate, before this game, there was a lot of talk.
There was quite a lot of
talk about it, and Everton fans were not happy with how things are going.
Rightly so, mate. They just haven't been able to score a goal and haven't been able to keep a clean sheet.
But they've been creating all of the chances to score them. Like they're lowest underperforming by XG. Biggest in the Premier League up to this game, so it's not as if Sean Dyche he can't be there to kick the ball in for them. Like that's on his strikers. And if DCL comes back and he's fit, then they've got a genuine option. I know we've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks. But like just to
Beto has looked good.
Beto looks good. They've now got a couple of options in the forward line
coming off the bench. I thought Dwight McNeil was really good as well. Let's touch on the other Merseyside side, shall we? Liverpool. 3-1 winners against West Ham, unbeaten in 18 matches now, the longest unbeaten streak of any Premier League side. But West Ham had chances in the game. Again, like Liverpool do give up chances, don't they?
Seem to just be getting it over the line. Like
the forward line is just so brutal. It just bullies
fair
teams.
Play to them, man, because that's something. If you can do that, then that's brilliant. I still do wonder a little bit defensively. Like they've got maybe the best goalkeeper in the world, and Alisson in there, which helps
save from
a lot. But yeah, West Ham had a lot of chances, and West Ham looked really good this year as well. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I just think against Newcastle they managed to get it through. Who was their game last weekend? That is escaping me. Or was it the weekend before? Wolves. Where Wolves looked kind of
they only played for 45 minutes
as well.
It,
so I think defensively they need to still sort it out a little bit back there. Like I've said it a few times, I'm not necessarily Joe Gomez's biggest fan.
He was his best game against West Ham in a long time.
It probably was his best game. But I do think he could be possibly improved on. We'll see what happens. Obviously, with Trent still being out and things like that, is not great. The forward line's just so good.
If West Ham had scored 3 on the weekend, Liverpool would have scored 4.
Exactly
the forward line is just brutal. Like there's just so many different weapons to beat you with. If it's not working with Nunez, and it's classic Nunez, isn't it? Amazing finish, but 5 minutes before misses an absolute sitter. Like if it's not working with him, Jota comes on. If Diaz isn't working, Gakpo can play in there. Salah's obviously a weapon. Szoboszlai can join the attack.
The
assist from McAllister.
So good.
There's just so many weapons.
Harvey Elliott's still there.
I just think that Liverpool will beat teams 4-3, 5-4 if they have to. It's that
classic saying, isn't it? Best form of defence is attack, right? And fair enough. Like I think many teams. I wonder if you gave the options to manager, would you rather have a fantastic defence or a fantastic attack? What they'd take, and right now Liverpool have a fantastic.
Are they
attack.
title contenders?
No,
not for me personally, because I think they give up too many chances, and I'd like to see them come up against a really
Tottenham on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the litmus test, as they call it. But this is important for Liverpool. I genuinely think, with Nagelsmann's contract at Germany running until the end of the tournament, I genuinely think Jurgen Klopp is their number one option at the end of that. And I know he's got a contract at Liverpool till 2026, but I honestly think that he will seriously sit down at the end of the season and think, what else can I do with this Liverpool side? So the fact they're showing progress, the fact they're grinding out results is important for the Liverpool fan base.
But he's talked about this being like Liverpool 2.0 season 1, hasn't he? So he's clearly invested in the project.
I know, but I still think if the DFB really come to him and he doesn't feel like, I think he's going to have a big decision to make in the summer.
He could get the Germany job whenever he wants. There's no need to leave this Liverpool side when he's admitted himself he's at the start of a regeneration project again.
He
signed
might enjoy
that.
He might enjoy that of
he's up for
having
battle,
a new
Jurgen
test of making a team. And he's already got the attack, and he's probably already got midfield. He just needs one more player in midfield, really, a strong DM. And then just get a couple of defenders. He really is He's not far. He's really not far.
I love that Salah penalty as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, smacked.
Yeah,
not the best penalty taker either, is it usually? So needed to
also,
do that.
Shout out to that header from Bowen, by the way.
Yeah,
really
brave.
strong header.
Brave,
really strong
very,
header.
very brave. Burnley 0, Manchester United 1, sneaking in here. Much
Do you feel like
needed.
you got a little bit lucky with that result in the end?
I think a draw would have been a fair result, but United just needed to win. Like, the best thing about... Because United played incredibly mediocre. Like, did not play well, but United just had to get over the line in that one. Just had to do anything to win that game. And I think the best thing about it, from my perspective, was that it was clearly a squad still battling for the manager. Like, there was a little bit of, pressure starting to develop externally, I would say, more than internally, on Erik ten Hag. And there was certainly reports just starting to bubble away of, there might be a bit of discourse in the dressing room with the Sanchez favouritism, blah, 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 all the usual rubbish that you hear about Manchester United managers every single time things start to go wrong. And it was clearly an 11 that was willing to go out there and just chuck everything at the ball, like battle for him. Tactically, it was pretty poor. Quality level was pretty poor, but, United without their entire starting back four. Reguilon came off as well, injured too. The midfield still doesn't have Amrabat, still doesn't have Mount in it as well. Like, there's just so many problems with United's squad right now. I think it's 13 senior injuries that they're kind of just bodge jobbing it together. I mean, Johnny Evans playing.
They still should be beating Burnley more comfortably, though.
You say that, but when you have that many injuries, there's just no connection between anyone. Like when you're trying to pass it out from the back, and it's like giving it into Evans. Evans doesn't really know where he's giving the ball. Hannibal's making his first ever Premier League start. He's not in necessarily the right positions as hard as he's trying on the field.
Yeah, Hannibal aside, you're still looking at a squad of players who've got hundreds of Premier League appearances between them.
But not necessarily together.
Up against the Burnley side, which is basically reconstructed this year.
And Burnley played really well. I'm not saying Burnley didn't. United played poorly. But when you've just got no connections, and I know that people can say this, it's a different pressure playing for United in those positions than it is for a lot of these smaller teams who can put people together that haven't played together. When you're United, you're expected to win, and you've got a back four of Reguilon, Johnny Evans, Lindelof, and Dalot, who's out of form. It is just hard to build up. You can't, there's no automatisms playing it into midfield. Burnley pressed quite well, and United just don't know how to deal with that at the moment, especially when you don't have centre-backs. Obviously, Johnny Evans is an amazing pass to the goal, but isn't necessarily a natural ball-progressing centre-back in a system that Erik ten Hag wants to play.
Just on Johnny Evans, it is a great story, isn't it?
Amazing.
200th appearance for United in this game. I think he said it was one of the best games of his life.
Amazing, but he shouldn't be playing, should he?
In principle, he shouldn't
Would
be
any
playing.
other top six side have re-signed Johnny Evans in the summer?
No.
I think as a backup option, he's an extremely experienced centre half. He's not like a bad footballer.
I'm not saying he's a bad footballer, but I think it's testament to where United are as a club off the field that Johnny Evans had to be re-signed as a fifth choice centre back option.
Okay, yeah, I accept that, but it's not a doom and gloom situation that he's playing. He's still a very, very...
I think if United had lost this game 1-0, you'd have been saying something very different. You'd have been saying, how on earth is Johnny Evans starting?
It's not as if they signed him. He was in there training, and Erik ten Hag had a long time to look at him and said, you know what, actually, he is
and he's not been brought into play.
That's what backup is,
He's
right?
sixth choice centre-back. It's been brought in for experience and a bit of leadership in the group.
Yeah,
United have got injury problems just like Chelsea have. Chelsea are in the exact same situation, really. But... United managed to get over the line in that game, and I think probably what that actually ended up coming down to was a little bit more experience. Experience from a player like Bruno Fernandes and that genuine world-class ability to win that game. Experience from Johnny Evans defensively when United were under the cosh. I think little moments like that just do win you games, and maybe that's the slight difference between the two sides, because United didn't play well on the weekend again.
Just quickly on Burnley, their transfer policy, a lot of people questioning whether or not going out and making they didn't get many experienced players through the door. Nathan Redmond really is. You're looking at the most Premier League.
Have had the hardest schedule though, surely.
I agree with you, but some people are getting. It's just a question. Do you think that
I think they've got the best.
Their data-driven scattergun approach.
I just think that their start has just been murdered by the schedulers. They've just played all of the worst teams in the league to face, basically, which has just drained a load of young players' confidence straight away. And unfortunately for Vincent Kompany, it might be a little bit of a battle to find a player that's going to stick the ball in the back of the net. Amdouni looks good, but the chances he misses in that game, just, against United, you have to score them. Like the one-on-one with Onana that hits the post, that has to go in.
Yeah.
Like that has to go in. And obviously they had the ban as well to, I forget his name now. They're starting number 9.
Lyle Foster.
So just not great. But Burnley, I think, are going to be better than Luton and Sheffield United. They are going to be better than Luton and Sheffield United.
Agreed.
They play better football. Amdouni looks good. Sholi Ojo, is that his name? Sholi Ojo, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, looks electric. I think they're going to be okay, Burnley. I think they'll still be in a relegation battle, but they're going to be better than Sheffield United and Luton. Brighton 3-1 Bournemouth.
Yeah, it was. They went 1-0 down. They went 1-0 down, playing the De Zerbi style of football. Verbruggen kind of makes a mistake. Makes a mistake and gets punished. Good, nice little chip there from Dominic Solanke. But there's such a confidence in Brighton's play now, where they can go 1-0 down and have full belief that they can still go back and win this game, especially at home. Yeah. They got a little bit, not necessarily lucky, because it's a really good ball in from Billy Gilmore, but kind of the defender. There's a mix-up between the goalkeeper and the defender ends up heading it into his own net when there was a pretty easy catch for the keeper otherwise. But just, I feel like with a lot of Brighton games, it was the Matoma story.
Where's he ranked? Left wingers in the league. Where do you have him?
Top 3.
Top 3.
So I'm trying to think who else
Martinelli,
is there.
Luis Diaz, Rashford.
I think he might be better than Rashford this year. Son striker this year.
Wow, is Martinelli even getting in over Trossard these days? I mean,
he's injured. Martinelli's injured. I think he might be top 3. Yeah, I think he's better than Rashford this year. Yeah, I think he's better than Rashford. I think he could be top 3. I don't count Son as left winger. I think he's playing striker. There might be a couple of other names that I can't think of right now.
I suppose if he played Moussa Diaby out there, but he's kind of not naturally a left winger, is he?
But I think he's so electric. He's so dangerous. Grealish has barely played. I mean, maybe Doku's probably a little bit too early to be saying anything like that. But he's just brilliant. He came on. Obviously, he came on in the second half. They literally kicked off again. A Bournemouth kind of mistake and muddle up, and he gets given a chance and takes it. He's just. I wonder whether somebody looks at him in January and tries to. I mean, it'll cost them a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, imagine how much he costs, man.
And if not January, then the summer. He is so good. Yeah, he really is.
He is frightening. Manchester City 2-0 Forest. I suppose the real talking point here is the Rodri red.
Silly boy.
For someone that actually seems quite calm.
What is he thinking?
I don't know how he loses his head in that moment. I don't know what Gibbs White says to him or whatever it might be. But he really just loses the ball. The ball goes out for a throw in, and just suddenly he's on it. He's completely on it.
So un-Rodri.
It really is.
There was a little 4-minute spell there where everything was rattling City because Ederson goes head to head with Awoniyi as well, and you're like, what the hell is going on? You're 2-0 on coasting here, and now Rodri will miss not only the Newcastle game midweek and Wolves away, but also Arsenal away, which is a massive blow.
And did you that game is so? I mean, to miss Arsenal so bad, but did you see the assist he got? For the goal, it's just incredible.
It's the pre-assist, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, sorry, the pre-assist for Kyle Walker to put it back across. Yeah. But he's just maybe the best midfielder in the world right now, and to miss that against Arsenal's really big. I do wonder who plays there. Is it Calvin Phillips?
Do we see Calvin?
No, not the level, is it? And is John Stones back in time? I'm not too sure what his return date is.
What you think? No to Phillips. Kovacic and Nunez in midfield?
I just don't think he plays enough football to be thrown into a big game against Arsenal. You can maybe against a lower team in the Premier League, sure, but you can't. And it almost would be. He has to have the game of his life.
Did he play?
Because if he has a bad game,
year? Am I wrong in thinking he did?
Yeah, he played.
Did he start? Or did he come on?
No, I
think he might have.
Didn't he? No.
I should imagine him in that team, but I can't remember whether he started or not. But anyway, yeah, really rough that for City, but they're just cruising, man. They're just absolutely
Nottingham Forest had chances when it went down to 10 men. And
they should be.
I think we should just applaud Forest a little bit. Definitely improved again this season. Some pretty savvy transfer business on deadline day, bringing in the likes of Sangare.
Aoioni's a shout for out of the top 6, the best striker in the league.
Don't see Forest going down this year, which I think is a massive...
I agree with you. We kind of skipped over Bournemouth there. Bournemouth are now hovering just above the bottom. Wolves are still, for all their good moments,
they've not it's not broken for Wolves yet properly, has it?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Compared to these teams, Forest definitely look as if they'll be fine. And Awoni, I agree with you. Such a good player, and with Morgan's Gibbs White in behind him, and even Sangare providing a bit of a shield, then. yeah, they're definitely going to. We've already seen at home this season they're capable of getting results, and losing to City 2-0, fine.
Away, really not bad.
Fine.
And remember, like there was a time last year where they nearly sacked Steve Cooper and instead gave him a contract extension.
That was a great decision.
Like it's paid off massively for them.
Yeah, Luton 1, Wolves 1. I mean, let's just get onto it straight away. What the hell is that handball decision?
This is what we were talking about earlier, right? The consistency in these decisions just make no sense. I thought the understanding was if it hits your hand off of a huge deflection off of your own body, it's not a handball. And I don't understand how that's a handball in this day in this day and age of football.
It's not. It's crazy. It went to VAR as well.
I think sometimes when we think about like the reasons these rules were put in place in football was to stop people just picking up the ball and blatantly like stopping a goal and stuff like that with their hands, right? And so many of these rules now that have been taken to like the extreme ends, like to the full extreme, and this is just awful, especially for Wolves. We mentioned they're not that far above the relegation zone or where they are in the league. Sorry. But this could have been a win. Could have been 3 points of them. And like Luton was a game for them this season where they could have got 3 points and probably should have. Like it's a great draw for Luton to take, definitely.
Is it?
Oh mate, 100%. They can barely get a goal, let alone 3
points.
points.
10 man Wolves as well.
10-man Wolves at home.
70 minutes.
They have to win that game. They have to win.
They can't win.
No, but they should.
So they shouldn't lose.
Like at 60, I think was it 60 minutes of 10-man Wolves after again I think it was
it was orange.
Harsh
It was
red
orange
card.
again.
I think he's got his leg locked in between him, and I think he's just trying to kick his leg out. I think he's trying to kick out at it.
No, I agree. I agree with you. It's not. It's kind of.
I think Wolves got
slightly pathetic from the other guy on the floor there.
Yeah. And then I mean I think it's Tom Lockyer actually, and then Lockyer gets punished big time by Neto, who is Neto's back, baby.
Yeah, he's so
good.
He
is back. 1 goal, 4 assists so far this season, and he takes his goal so well.
But absolutely blasts it.
Yeah, takes the net off.
I think it was against Chelsea a few years ago. He had like an unreal game at the Molineux. Neto's in a position like if he can put together a solid campaign, bigger teams will be looking at him because he's better than like Solomon etc. at Spurs. It's like he's electric and like you can see that fire in him. I think he's been told essentially that he is the main man at Wolves this season.
They lost Podence, didn't they? They lost a few players where he
inherently
wasn't he?
Loaning Podence back to Olympiacos made zero sense. But yeah, I agree. Pedro Neto is firing, but yeah, it's. I think Wolves will be okay, just about.
Yeah. I think there are three worse teams than Wolves for sure with how they're looking at, and you know what, considering before the season started how they were looking, they'll take that. They'll definitely take that.
I'm just not sure where the goals. Who scores the goals, mate?
Sasha Kalajdzic.
Neto.
And then finally, your boys.
1 goal.
0-0 against Palace. Happy with that?
I mean, yeah, I put on Super Brew that we're going to lose 2-0. So it's a bit of like a similar story in some of the games. We're playing good football. Essentially, Marco Silva is the glue to Fulham at the moment. If he goes, then I think if the style of football goes, then we're in deep trouble. We don't have a goal scorer. I'm hoping in January that we go out and get a proper goal scorer.
Did you spend the Mitrovic money in the end or not?
No, we got Raul Jimenez for £2 million.
And
I don't know why Carlos Vinicius isn't starting though. That's the only thing I'll say. I know people don't really care. So
questioning Silva now.
No, don't.
Questioning Silva.
I just don't like. I get Jimenez. He's had a lot of nearly moments so far this season. We saw that against Arsenal where he hit the post. Again here, Sam Johnston. Fair play to him. Made a ton of saves. Was probably man of the match in general. Like we are. Fulham are completely fine. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses from 6 games. Love it. So, but yeah, it was I think Crystal Palace, I was kind of disappointed by them. I thought they would be better. That's the only thing I'll say. Like, I thought they would have more to say.
Eze still looks good though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like on the ball.
I know.
He's completed the most dribbles of any player in Europe. Like he's basically a one-man army for Palace going
Totally
forward. I know
they're probably looking at Fulham at home and thinking we've probably got to win these games.
Yeah, they play United twice in a row as well away from home now in the Cup and then the Premier League back to back. So it'll be a bit of a test for them.
Quick little European thingies. Kane hat-trick?
Apparently doesn't count as a hat-trick.
Why not?
The Bundesliga doesn't officially count it as a hat-trick because one of them was a penalty.
That's just nonsense.
Sorry? I know. Can't believe it.
But he scored 3 goals.
I know.
So it's a hat-trick.
I know, but the Athletic did a long read on why Bundesliga...
This is the thing that should have been like one line and ended up being about 15 pages.
Bundesliga hat-tricks apparently it doesn't count as his first hat-trick.
Well, it's just dumb, isn't it?
But 2 assists as well. Tearing the league apart. I think 12 goal involvements in his first 7 games. He's broken, I think, every record of a Bayern Munich player for the amount of goals scored in their first 7 games at the club. And it doesn't actually feel like he's playing that well. Like, he's definitely not up to full fitness and full speed yet. I would say he's in about 2nd or 3rd gear, and he's decimating the league, although Bochum were an absolute disgrace. Bochum would finish 3rd in League 2.
No, Bochum
honestly, they were...
Not gonna lie, I think
they were walking by goal free. It was vile.
Pretty sure I played a team called Bochum Juniors when I was a kid in Saturday football.
Yeah, probably.
So that's probably
you played Brockham Badgers. That's my team. That's my team. It's my team. Yeah, you silly boy.
That was where we spoke about this. Yeah, Heron Olympic.
Yeah. Did you watch Madrid derby last night?
I did, and it's been coming. Like, Madrid had scraped through games.
Yeah, they have.
Like, Jude Bellingham popping up with goals has been hiding a wider issue, which is that, like, they are missing a bit of attacking kind of.
People said they miss Hossalu.
They do miss Hossalu because he's a proper target man.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, like, Rodrigo is not enough to play as a centre forward. Like, Rodrigo, I feel bad saying it, like, he's not on Vinicius' level. He's not. Rodrigo's not a 15-goal-a-year player either. Like, he's just not. And Hossalu at least provides a lot more of an outlet. We even saw that when he came on at the end. He was throwing himself about there, like, knocking balls down, getting it to Bellingham and whatnot. Bellingham looked rattled at the end, by the way. That stadium was absolutely bouncing. This is the first time, like, a stadium, I think, has really got to the Madrid players. But I think, like, the bigger debate is really, like, there's lots of rumours that Kroos and Modric are getting upset that players like Tchouaméni are
why didn't Tchouaméni start?
He should have started. Like, you have to... I get what, like... If Kroos doesn't score a goal, then it's a really bad performance by him. They have to, like... I'm amazed that these two players aren't looking at the wider picture, which is that Madrid have got all these young players, and they need to start betting them in. And, like, this is their last campaign. Well, this is certainly Kroos's last campaign in a Madrid shirt. I'll probably be surprised if Modric gets another extension too. Like, it's... They need to have...
It's time.
They need to have a better plan B. But yeah, I will, like, Morata though. It's really pleasing to see Morata playing so well at the moment. As someone who's like followed him, he's popping up goals. Like, some of the headers they scored in that game,
the Griezmann headers,
were so good. Like, Atletico up front are cooking. Atletico's forward line of Griezmann, Morata, and Depay is so
fair play, man.
It's great.
They said Simeone couldn't do it.
He looks
Check
like
out
he's...
Explained from Saturday, where we reveal exclusively why Simeone can do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Simeone looks reinvigorated. He looks as if he's had a...
Which is good, actually, because there was a moment last year where he was very much...
Yeah, he looks as if he's had a...
I was going to say coffee. I was like, that's not enough, is it?
There was a moment where people can't even talk about him just moving on. And like, he's done now with Atleti. I mean, is he still the highest paid manager in the world?
Yeah, he is.
And so...
By a way.
Maybe, I was going to say.
But fair enough.
Yeah, but no, fair play to him. Fair play to Atleti. Fair play to Griezmann. I love seeing Griezmann play well.
Exactly. All right, that's it for today's episode of Monday Vibes. Loads discussed there, and of course we will be back next Monday. We'll also be shooting Sunday Vibes during the week, and there's plenty of Carabao Cup action coming your way, so stay tuned for that. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit subscribe. We'll see you later. Goodbye.